Dr. Jim Turrell here, and I want to thank you for taking the time to review this Introduction to Science of Mind 101, The Spiritual Path. And what I talked about the other night, and it's very important to remember, is that we're dealing with a cause and effect teaching. We're not dealing with superstition or things that don't have a basis in truth. So the first basis in truth is that God is cause, and what you experience is the effect. And all effects are a product of your mentality, which we'll go into great detail as we go in our class, energized by three things: your faith, your belief, and your acceptance. Your mentality is activated through, guess what? Prayer, which is the primary tool of change that we use in our teaching. So here's a way to look at it. This little blueprint represents what you know inside your mind. And the house down here represents what you experience, which is the result of those blueprints coming into fruition. But there's an in-between part, something you can't see, which is sort of the superstructure of what you know and what you experience. And what you know, we call in our philosophy conscious mind. And what you can't see, that's called the subconscious mind. And what you experience, well, that's your sensory system responding to what you know and to what you can't see. Now, all of this is put into expression by what we call is an invisible cause known as the universal conscious mind or spirit, also known as God or Goddess. It's everywhere, and it's always expressing or energizing what we think about. And the way you put that into action is through prayer, to energize and create a new life. So when you pray, you actually speak your word into that subconscious mind, which then is energized and changes, just like its little spinner here. And then it comes into what we call a visible effect, or the individualized, externalized form or experience, also known as the body and physical senses. The purpose of the class is to give you a new worldview, which is a useful spiritual cause and effect philosophy. Now remember, a philosophy is what steers the ship. A psychology is what determines how the ship is being operated. To show you the components of a prosperous and peaceful life, and to teach you how to use those components. To give you the tools for transformation and teach you how to pray. Extremely important. Central to your happiness, as a matter of fact. And to examine your life using spiritual principles that help you find direction and meaning. And finally, to make new like-minded friends and build a lasting relationship with God, to nurture and inspire a greater experience of love, confidence, and faith. So this subconscious mind that we talked about, that thing which you can't see, is kind of like a jar. In this case, it's got peanuts, and it's ready to respond to, guess what, your desires. And in this case, it's the hunger that people have in their heart for a new life. And when that hunger translates itself into a desire, the internal idea then manifests as food, like this peanut butter sandwich. So we say in our philosophy, the thought becomes the thing. And as it becomes the thing, you're fed. Now, of course, you can decide, do I want to have another peanut butter sandwich? Do I really love peanut butter? Do I love the way I'm living, or do I want to change? Do I want to think about myself in a different way? So here's how it works. There's this universal conscious mind or spirit that is the thinker. In other words, God is constantly self-contemplating itself. And when it thinks about itself, it creates the context for form or experience, or the manifestation of form. And so that thinker, as you think, you sow. And what you sow, of course, are thoughts. And those thoughts fall into the soil, which is also known as the soul in our teaching, the universal subconscious. And the thing about the soil, or the subconscious, it's waiting to turn your thoughts into things, like the soil's waiting to turn seeds into plants. And of course, the soil cannot refuse to grow the seed. It can only grow what you put into it. So here's the truth. The soul cannot reject what you believe or think into it. It simply manifests what you believe, which is, of course, it's done unto you as you believe. So the result is always some particular experience or growth. But here's a really key important point. All experiences are unconscious effects and have only the meaning that we give them. This is so crucial, and something we'll be talking about and teaching in the philosophy, because it's real crucial to change what you're experiencing by looking at it from a different point of view. So as you think, you sow. And here's that little frame, the universal conscious mind thinking itself into experience through the universal subconscious, creating some particular experience. But how does this work in the individual? Well, you see, your spirit is the actor, and when you act upon that which you believe, you're planting seed thoughts. This is the power to know yourself and to choose what you think. This is very important, because the whole purpose of the class is get you to the place of choice so you can choose the life you want to live. Now, your soul is the medium animating that inner experience. And that's the blind force within that without question obeys your will. It can't refuse what you're thinking with passion and belief. And of course, the body is the result of all of that. And that's the effect of your spirit and soul upon your senses. So when we look at our lives, we say in this philosophy, when we change our thinking, lives change. And that's the purpose of the class, to change the way we think. And everything about this class functions around this flow. We want to keep that flow of the conscious energy and of God's love moving by means of us so we can keep creating the life we want to live. So Ernest Holmes wrote this. He said, "Nothing is real to us unless we make it real, and nothing can touch us unless we let it touch us. Refuse to have the feelings hurt, refuse to receive anyone's condemnation. In the independence of your own mentality, believe and feel that you are wonderful. This is not conceit, it is the truth. What can be more wonderful than the manifestation of the infinite mind? God absolutely wants to give you the kingdom. Are you willing to receive it?" And in the Bible, Ernest Holmes quotes the following: "Awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead." That's when Jesus went, of course, and asked Lazarus to come back into expression. "And prove me now herewith," from the Old Testament, saith the Lord of hosts, "if I will not open to you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And act as though I am, and I will be. As thou hast believed, so be it done. Ask, and it shall be given unto you. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, it shall prosper." These are all very important understandings that we have to have about ourselves if we want to grow and make progress. So the question this week is, what do you think? And what do you want to think? So be prepared to share next week the answers to these questions. When it comes to my health, what do you want to think? When it comes to my prosperity, what do I want to think? When it comes to my work, what do I want to think? And when it comes to my desires, what do I want to think? Now, for some of you, this might be a difficult question, because some of you may not think you have the authority or the right to think what you want to think. But you see, that's the key beginning, because that's where we start, to put you back into the power of choice. Very, very important. So the class will be covering orientation, which I'm doing right now. And each week, I'm hoping to get together another video so that you can review the basic concepts and watch that video and do the reading. So next week, we'll start the class officially, and we'll be covering reading, listening, study, application, sharing, and our prayer journal, which you will receive every week. And Dr. Ernest Holmes will talk about his life and the New Thought movement. And then next week, we'll do basic principles in week 2 and 3, and then in the beginning, God, and so on and so on. And there's the reading assignment. Science of Mind is the textbook, and How to Speak Religious Science is the other textbook. I look forward to our class, and I look forward to getting to know you. But more importantly, I look forward to having you get to know yourself in a brand new way. God bless. Be well. We'll see you.